Broadly speaking, an introvert is someone who finds social interaction draining and who feels refreshed after spending time alone. Although some introverts may long for a thriving social life, their shyness and social anxiety usually makes popularity difficult to achieve. Other introverts are confident loners who never even dream of being part of a group. For introverted anime fans, a gripping series can often provide a fantastic escape from the social pressures of real life. Luckily, there are a bunch of introverted anime characters for fans to commiserate with, regardless of whether or not they want to broaden their real-life social circles. 1. Yusuke Makishima. Yusuke Makishima of Yowamushi Pedal is best described as incredibly awkward. He is so bad at making small talk that he'll randomly blurt out his adult media preferences in the middle of a conversation about the weather. Outside of his immediate best friends, he avoids anyone who tries to talk to him for more than a few minutes. His introverted tendencies and social anxiety sometimes makes it difficult for him to be on a cooperative bicycle team, but his teammates understand that his coldness doesn't come from a place of enmity. 2. Kaoru Nishimi. The main character of Kids on the Slope, Kaoru Nishimi, is ridiculously introverted. After starting at a new school, he finds it impossible to speak to his classmates, and when he finally does make friends, he routinely distances himself from them. While Kaoru's social anxiety does create relationship problems and confusion, he ends up forming some truly meaningful friendships over the course of the series. 3. Tsukimi Kurashita. Princess Jellyfish is about a group of introverted, nerdy women who live together in an all-woman house called Amamizukan. While it's possible to talk at length about each character's special brand of introversion, Tsukimi Kurashita, the show's main protagonist, is by far the most interesting. Tsukimi spends a lot of time alone, working vaguely towards her goal of becoming an illustrator. Whenever she sees someone who looks stylish or socially adept, she gets extremely flustered and nervous. The main lesson demonstrated by the series is that Tsukimi doesn't have to limit herself to being a shy, introverted otaku. She can be other things too, if she just tries. 4. Mei Tachibana. Say I Love You features Mei Tachibana, a victim of bullying who decides that she isn't going to bother with the whole friendship thing anymore. She believes that all human relationships end in betrayal, and she's perfectly content to spend her days alone. When Mei meets Yamamoto Kurosawa, a friendly, cheerful boy who she develops romantic feelings for, she's pretty much completely isolated. Through her relationship with Yamamoto, she starts to slowly come out of her shell and begins talking to her classmates more. However, the instant things start to get complicated, she retreats back into solitude and cuts off everyone who cares about her without explanation. She's not exactly healthy, but hey, she's working on it. 5. Rei Kiriyama. Rei Kiriyama, the protagonist of March Comes in Like a Lion, is a deeply introverted young man. At the start of the series, he lives alone and hardly interacts with anyone outside of the shogi tournaments he participates in for a living. While he is solitary by nature, his isolation is exacerbated by a nasty case of depression. After repeatedly experiencing abandonment and rejection, his main goal is to protect himself from further harm. Part of Rei's emotional journey involves accepting and reciprocating others' love, particularly the kindness shown by the Kawamoto family, while maintaining his own core identity. 6. Shizuku Mizutani. Shizuku Mizutani of My Little Monster doesn't explicitly dislike socializing, but she also doesn't feel a pressing need to make friends. Her top priority is her schoolwork, and keeping her grades up requires a lot of time and attention. When others try to interrupt her studies, she usually ends up frustrated with them, especially when it's Haru, her eccentric classmate who she kind of has a crush on. Like most introverted people, Shizuku does need some human interaction. She just doesn't go out of her way to seek people out. 7. Kanade Tachibana. At the start of Angel Beats, Kanade Tachibana is seemingly unable to socialize outside of her role as student council president and Angel. Her position's main duty is to help her classmates, who are all teenagers struggling to accept their deaths in the afterlife, find peace and move on to the next plane of existence. She typically achieves this goal through violence, and there are quite a number of people fighting to take her down. While Kanade does eventually accept Otonoshi's friendship, the protagonist usually has bigger concerns than her lack of meaningful friendships. 8. Tomoko Kuroki. Tomoko Kuroki of No Matter How I Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Unpopular is a poster child for introversion, as the character is a maladjusted, socially anxious mess. Tomoko desperately wants friends, but not because she actually enjoys human companionship. On the contrary, she finds most forms of social interaction incredibly draining and stressful. Despite her preference, Tomoko wants to be popular so that she can live the kind of high school life promised to her by anime and dating sims. She regularly pushes herself into social situations that don't come naturally to her, and she manages to screw up every single one. Watching her struggle so hard to be extroverted is amusing, but also kind of heartbreaking. 9. Hachiman Hikigaya. My teen romantic comedy snafu features Hachiman Hikigaya, a particularly interesting example of an introverted anime character. Hachiman is perfectly happy spending all of his time alone. He interacts with others as obligated, but never really considers the possibility of making friends. Hachiman sees most social interaction as disingenuous, status-building nonsense, and he wants no part in the farce. While Hachiman has a hard limit on the amount of social interaction he can tolerate, he still wants to connect with others. To achieve his dream, he needs to push past the snark, sarcasm, and feelings of intellectual superiority that normally helps him avoid the pain of rejection. Hachiman's journey to emotional maturity is deeply complex, and the character's often antithetical headspace comes across as touchingly human. 10. Shota Aizawa. Shota Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, isn't as flashy as the other characters seen in My Hero Academia, but he has a good reason for his downplayed nature. Despite being a professional superhero and high school teacher, Shota wants to avoid contact with other people as much as he possibly can. He's more than willing to carry out whatever interaction is required for his two jobs, but he fiends for alone time when he's off the clock. In particular, he needs present Mike to stop following him around, screeching like a parrot. 11. Hinata Hyuga. Hinata Hyuga of Naruto is a sweet, unassuming, anxious girl, all surprising character traits for a powerful ninja who can reliably win dangerous battles. Hinata prefers to keep to herself, in part because of the way she was raised. While Hinata is eventually able to come to an understanding with her repressive family, she retains her introverted nature even after establishing independence. Her attitude contrasts starkly with the playful demeanor of her husband, Naruto Uzumaki, who is probably one of the most extroverted anime characters ever to exist. 12. Hotaro Oreki. Hotaro Oreki of Hyuga finds social experiences draining. The character isn't shy, he has no trouble talking to people if the situation requires it, but he doesn't actually enjoy the company of other people. Oreki's primary drive is to find ways to conserve energy, so he's not going to go out of his way to be sociable unless he has a good reason. 13. L. Death Note's L has spent nearly his entire life in seclusion. While some of this is due to safety and time constraints, he's an extremely busy detective who needs to keep his identity a secret. L's introverted nature is also a personal choice. At 25, L claims that Light Yagami, aka the serial killer L is chasing, is his first friend ever. While some fans believe that he only says this to provoke a reaction from Light, it's also pretty clear that L doesn't really desire social interaction.